Hello everyone, it is I, Voidtune. I got full control over these Survivor videos, not Vamptune, so let's discuss. I'm currently recording this video in a very cold place, wrapped up in a bunch of blankets and stuff, but my body does not do well in the cold, so let's get this all over with. On. Now, we go into the intro first. This season has been extremely hard for me to navigate. Like, normally I can sort of see a picturesque of a season and see where the potential avenues. This has been the hardest new era season for me to actually be able to see. I think it's sort of like a clash between big personalities that the show is promoting versus good gameplay, sort of like the players that have been under-edited. Like, as far as, like, big personalities, we got Sam, Rome, Gabe, even Sue, whereas the under-edited players, who I honestly think are the missing link to knowing what will happen deeper into the season, such as, like, Saul, Genevieve, Tiana, Rachel. Like, I honestly think those players are more important to the longevity of the season, but we're not able to see them because the show has been underediting them in favor of these bigger personalities. I think as we go further into the season and till we get more of an equal edited stamp on the game, that is when we're going to be able to see the truth of what's going to happen in the season. First, we'll talk about who the pre-mergers now. So, first up, we have John, Mr. John Lovett. I think he was definitely the biggest get for this season. He's definitely the most famous out of everyone here. I don't think John necessarily did anything bad to ruin his game on the season, being the first boot and all. I just think he got unfortunate with his tribe, and his, and even though he had a good scapegoat to with Andy, I think his proper play should have been to try to push Andy more under the bus. Andy did everything wrong to be the first boot, but due to his tribe preferring to vote him out over Andy, and him not navigating the situation right, he ended up being the first boot. Next, we have TK. I think TK did good in the first episode establishing relationships. The problem is in the second episode he completely destroyed his game with underestimating Gabe, completely neglecting Sue and Caroline, and his attitude in the challenge completely turned off the players such as Tiana and even Kyle to an extent, to where almost everyone except Kyle was willing to vote him out, and they did. Thus led to TK's downfall. Next, we have Asia. Definitely the biggest loss of the season as far as the pre-mergers go, sort of. I don't know. I was really excited for her to be on the show, being someone that has watched Rob has a podcast for a very long time, and I honestly expected her to do really well going to the season. I don't think there was a problem with the initial starting tribe. I think the biggest problem was Rome in particular. The two of them did not get along, and Rome did not get along with Asia's number one Saul, which led to initial distance. And considering how much power Rome got in the early pre-merge, it made it easy for potential allies such as Teen and Kashan, who maybe would have sided with Asia over Rome in the beginning, to side with Rome because they essentially had no other option. Asia could have done other stuff different like accept Teeny and Kashan's offer to vote out Saul instead, but she didn't, and that's on her. So Asia's biggest problem was an inability to change directions when the tides turned against her. Then we have Kishan, biggest blindside of the season, the only vote out so far that I definitely consider a true blindside. Kishan was definitely a good player who played in the middle very much. His biggest problem, though, was underestimation of certain other players, such as Saul and Genevieve. Genevieve, in particular, he just got a bit too cocky, and when information leaked to Genevieve that to Kishan, who mentioned her as a potential backup vote, that got Genevieve into high gear to blindside him in a spectacular way. Next, we have Annika. Annika initially was in a very good position, being in a 4% alliance with all the girls plus Sam. However, according to post-game interviews, it seemed like Annika and Sam did not get along after the second immunity challenge due to them both wanting to sort of like be in charge. It thus created a lot of tension and turmoil between the two, and Annika was very certain that Andy was going to be the next one to go, so she didn't do much. While Sam, who put in the work to get Andy on the side to blindside Annika, and I do discredit Annika's game a bit. She was able to keep Rachel on her side very well, but failed with Sierra, which then led to her vote out. You can debate all you want, but Annika, even though she thought she was on the top, was actually playing from the bottom since episode 2. And lastly, we have Rome. Definitely the biggest character of the season so far. Rome played a very sloppy, not emotional, just aggressive game, and I credit him for trying. Like I definitely do. It was just definitely the wrong move to make. I give him credit for trying, but even though he was able to gain a lot of traction and momentum in the early games, his general personality and just trying to force things as the Rome way definitely caught up to him to where in the once we hit the Mergatory, he had legitimate, genuine information of that another player was trying to sabotage other players, but no one believed him because of the reputation he had built. So, so Rome fell in a day, and that's all the pre-mergers. And now, everyone, it's time to go into 12 remaining players that are still competing to win the $1 million prize in the title Sole Survivor. Now, let's start off with at number 12, I have Rachel. The simplest way to put it is I literally know nothing about Rachel. She was on the Yellow God tribe, and honestly, her closest connection was Annika, but Annika's now gone, and the only two moments where I knew Rachel was prominent was in episode 2 when she was stealing rice from a challenge and Jeff called her out on it, and episode 1 where we saw her and Andy interact, but that content was more focused on Andy, and Rachel was just the subject of Andy's own storyline and insecurities. So, other than that, I have literally no idea where Rachel stands in the game or who Rachel is. I don't think she'll be necessarily the next one of the next few out, but like a winner of the season needs to have something going for them in the pre-merge. I literally know nothing about her. So that is why I have Rachel at number 12. Now at number 11, this person has been showing up more prominently in the last few episodes. However, in the first half of the pre-merge, they were literally invisible, and their biggest source of content going for them was just voted out. So for those reasons, I have Saul. While I don't think Saul will necessarily be one of the next few out either, I'm uncertain if Saul will necessarily gain the momentum to go deep into the game. I think I think he has the short-term avenue for going for him. We saw people say that they were willing to work with him for this Rome vote, and I see that holding up for the next few votes. But I don't think that will last long term. And unless Saul can gain some traction under him to make a deep run, I don't see him winning this game. Now for number 10. Number 10, I think, is going to be a interesting, controversial choice given how much people seem to really like this player. However, at number 10, I have Gabe. Gabe is sort of like the inverse of Saul, really. He was very prominent early on, but in these last few episodes, been seen less and less of him. Episode 1 was focused around the idol, and episode 2 he pulled off a great move, getting out TK. However, since we've seen him talk poorly about his alliance members in Sue and Caroline, and talking about how he trusts Kyle more than Tiana and really wants to get Tiana out. And we've seen players in the past where if they don't go to tribal often and they hold this sort of resentment about wanting to vote out members of their own tribe, potential allies, and that bites them in the butt. The storyline Gabe has been presenting so far has been not personal, and like it's the sort of stuff that you would see players in the late 20s to early 30s say when they're talking about navigating a game. It just does not work in this new era. So I just don't see a path moving forward for Gabe to get to the end and win. He might even be one of the next few out. So for those reasons, I have Gabe at number 10. Now at number 9, I have a player who shows up now and then in the edit. He seems like a nice guy. Debatable if we can believe Rome. I have Kyle. While Kyle had a very iffy pre-merge, like he was not shown often to at all. He seems to be the sort of guy that you would see in older school seasons of Survivor, and he's definitely a nice guy. He does have some enemies though in Sue and Caroline, and actually those are only two enemies. But he was definitely a target of consideration going to the mergatory vote, and if he hadn't won individual immunity, I think his name would have definitely come up more. So I'm worried for Kyle short term wise going into the merge. Do I think he has the potential to make a deep run? Yes, but even if he gets to the final tribal council, I'm not sure at this moment what he can say to persuade the jury to vote for him in the end. For those reasons, I have Kyle at number 9. Now number 8. Number 8 is a position I'm calling sort of like the Charlie Brown spot. A player who continues to try, but just lands on their back after trying to kick the football. I had it for 45. I had Jake for 46. I believe I had Charlie. I may have had Ben. Either way, I think the perfect player to put at this spot that fits that description is Andy. Andy has been trying, after his meltdown in episode 1, he's been trying. He's got momentum now, aligned with Sam and Sierra to get out Annika. But Sam and Sierra turned on him rather quickly for the mandatory vote, saying that, yeah, he could be the backup plan if Rome does something Romish. So, his only two allies were willing to get rid of him just as they saved him. They've shown that he's disposable to them, and I don't think anyone else will necessarily look out for Andy in the short term or the long term unless he can solidify a solid alliance. I think there's potential for Andy. He might make a deep run, but just based also on how the show has been portraying him as this goofball dummy, I'm not necessarily sure how he'll get the respect at the end to win the game. For those reasons, I have Andy at number 8. Now at number 7, I've been hearing mixed signals about this player, how they're a strong contender for the win, or they're basically out of contention based on one bad episode. But I'm still debating on whether they're out of it or in it, so I place them at the very middle spot. At number 7, I have Tiana. I think Tiana is playing a good social game. I heard people talking about how she's coming on strong, a potential winner. It's debatable. I think Tiana definitely has the potential to win. Her social game is definitely going for her because she doesn't have a solid alliance. She has people looking out for her, such as Kyle and Caroline, but she also has enemies that are definitely going to try to take her out at the first opportunity they get in Gabe and Sue. So that's a big red flag there. I'm not sure how she's going to integrate herself with the rest of the tribes. I don't think she'll be anyone else's number one target, but I can see her being a second or third. She's either going to be one of the next few out, or she's going to make a deep run. Time will tell. For those reasons, I have Tiana at number 7. Now, number 6. These next 6 players are those who I would consider true contenders to win the game. Of course, there's differences between them all. There's 6 through 1. But I have more faith in these 6 versus the previous 6 we just talked about. So, let me start off with, at number 6, I have Sue. Sue has shown that she's a strong player in the game. She also possesses the only fully activated idol of the game. She also has a very strong number 1 in Caroline. She has an alliance member in Gabe. I think the potential of her reaching out to other alliances is also a strong possibility. However, I think her biggest weakness is in Tiana. Tiana knows that she has the idol, and she is definitely going to spread the target around on Sue, just like she's been doing before. So it's definitely a concern for Sue because the potential of her gaining a bigger target than she already has is definitely there. Do I think it'll affect her in the next few episodes? No, not really. But I can see her gaining that sort of recognition of being, oh, we need to get her out because if she makes it to the end, she will win. Stereotype. in sort of the mid stages of the game. Either Sue's going to go on to be the sole survivor, or she's going to find herself in an increasingly more hard spot to win the game. That's all I got. At number 5, I have Teeny. Teeny's an interesting player in my eyes this season because she's been really hard to read. I know her alliance in the very beginning was strong and that she was sort of in control. However, after Kashan Blindside especially, her power levels extremely dropped because she went from the top to the bottom. And while I do think that she can integrate herself well to no longer be in a danger position, I also don't think that if he comes on her, that people will say, let's not target Carol, target Teeny, and target someone else. I think Teeny's in the position where she can jump and navigate between alliances, but I don't think she'll have necessarily she has a home yet. Do I think if she makes it to the end that she has a strong chance to win? Yes, but she needs to get there first in order to win, and I'm not confident yet that that's what's going to happen. Now at number 4, I have definitely the biggest character of the season now that Rome is gone. I have Sam. The biggest thing Sam has going for him is that he's been getting a lot of personal content and very abnormal content that we don't usually see in a social strategic game like this. Like he's been getting talks about the fruit that he's never eaten before, and just these arguments and tips that we don't usually see, especially in the new era Survivor. It's just been a very complex edit, which makes me think that he's definitely going to go far, and that you should be paying attention to him because he's going to change this game, and this game's potentially going to revolve around him. But he definitely has a target on him. Like people recognize that he is a strong contender to win, and this is only the beginning of the merge. He's got a long way to go before he's in a safe position to where he's at the end. And they clocked that him and Sierra are a tight duo, and based on the fact that he convinced Sierra to get rid of her other closest ally in Annika, that's only going to become more apparent because Sierra's practically now tied to the hip with him. So target bigger. And I think they'll target Sam before they target Sierra. While I think Sam has the capabilities to go far and make the end, and even potentially win, there are just signs that I'm seeing within the edit that say Sam's going to get taken out before the end. And there's so much Sam content, and that's a big part of the season that I can't see the navigations of the game, which makes me think this content isn't as important as they're trying to make it out to be. For those reasons, I have Sam at number 4. Now, number 3. Some might say I'm jumping the gun on this player, but there are also a lot of reasons to support this player and how they're playing the game. At number 3, I have Genevieve. Genevieve was basically invisible in the first 3 episodes of the season. However, at episode 4, she made the big move to blindside Kashan, and ever since she's really been the power player of the Red Lavo tribe, having the relationship with Rome, Teeny, and manipulating how Saul can navigate the game. And I'm not sure how the next lava vote was going to go, but I knew Genevieve was definitely going to be in control of who went home. And once we hit the merge, like we saw her bond instantly with other players in the game that were the game, and that's definitely something to note. Like I don't believe that she was ever going to be in danger for that vote, despite even her closeness with Rome. It that the backup vote could have easily gone over to a player such as Genevieve if they were targeting Rome, but it didn't. It went to Andy, someone who was in a power position and gave up their own ally in the process. It's only the start of the merge, and we still got a long way to go. But I think if Genevieve can increase her standings in the game and become more of a prominent character than we've already gotten, I think Genevieve had the real strong chance of not only making it to the end, but also winning the game. Now at number 2. This player, I'm doubting having the number 2 spot, but like, despite the size of their edit, I have them here because every time that they've had to speak, they've always said something very smart and intelligent that I cannot ignore. For that reason, at number 2, I have Caroline. Caroline so far has been Sue's sidekick. However, whenever we've gotten the chance to talk to Sue Caroline, it's always been these very smart convos that have said they can go play cornhole all they want. I'm playing Survivor, or I'm trying to keep all of my options open and trying to keep the peace. So I need to get these two to communicate and talk to each other. It's just always been those smart tidbits of information that make me think Caroline is playing a really good game. And even though she's not in the driver's seat yet, Sue is, or even Gabe is. It doesn't take much for a player such as Caroline to say, "I need to get myself further. Let me sacrifice some of these pieces so that I can make it further." And I don't see anyone targeting Caroline or targeting Caroline. So that's another thing really going for her. There's not much else to say. Her relationship with Sue is definitely important and going to be important moving forward. So I'm interested to see how that will go. And now, at number 1, I have Sierra. I really do believe that Sierra could really win this game. In Ghana, we always saw her side of the side with either going with the men or the women. She ultimately chose the men, which did weaken her position a little. However, now that she's in the merge, she has options open again. Do I think people will target her? Potentially, but she can persuade them to target Sam anyway. All the signs in her edit and how the game's going so far do revolve a lot around Sierra, and that is why I believe that she can really win this game. I have faith. I really do believe that she has what it takes to win. And it honestly won't take much. Okay, and that is it. We talked about the midway point of Survivor 47, the power rankings. Let me know what you think. Do I have it completely right? Do I have it completely wrong? I'm not picky, I don't judge. Let me know what you think down below. And until then, next time at the end of Survivor 47, because that's when the next time I'm going to be able to talk to you. Stay good. Avoid tune out.